Are we live? Are we live? I'm going to go with we're live. It's 9:59. I'm so sorry. I said I'm going to go with we're live, and this red thing came up on the screen that said end video. Oh. I swear to you, I'm not trying to go out of my way to look technically challenged. It's just, when you're looking at a screen and something suddenly flashes red and it wasn't, it's red. All right, hang on now. Why didn't I make any noise? Oh, that's plugged in. All right. Okay, here we are. Action needed. Get another job? No. Okay. Oh dear. Oh dear. Ta-da. This is my 68th video, everybody. And I'm still having conversations with the technology like it's listening or capable of listening, even if it wanted to. So good morning, everyone. Hello, and how are you? And it's lovely to see you. Surprise, surprise! Charles, how exciting is this? What happened? So today, I want to talk about timing. I want to talk about timing for a couple of reasons. There's lots of great expressions about timing, and every single one of them that I've heard strikes a real chord, because I think we are so challenged by getting it right and getting it right in the moment and being present in the moment, which is, by the way, time. But other things, and I have a couple of just unbelievably silly stories to tell you. The first thing I want to tell you, though, is how glad I am that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here, that you are making time to spend time with me. I've been doing these videos now since November last year, and the object of the exercise is to recreate, reinvent, new, I guess, my relationship with media, with people who watched the things that I did, people who came to the live stage shows that I created, people who came to the live events that I produced, is to develop a relationship and a friendship on this other level. Now why is that frozen? That appears to be frozen. Goodness gracious, I hope, I'm going to refresh that. I hope it's not really frozen, so we'll check it and see. Is it playing? It's playing. Oh, I'm back. Okay, sorry. So the thing about timing is that if you're a comedian, well, no, actually not really. I mean, comedy is always talking about great timing, but everything, all good stories, all good openings, entrances, exits, responding, listening, leaning in, are all about timing, are all about seizing the moment. And when you say timing is everything, it is another way of saying seize the day. Um, when the tide is turning, that's the time to launch. And so many of us right now are kind of stuck. We're kind of in I don't want to say it's apathy, although certainly I've seen evidence of some of it. And I had this amazing conversation the other day with a friend of mine. And when it triggers it, and how we can become aware of it, and how we can, step away from it, step outside of it, step into what we want in the present moment. And, well, good morning, Karen. Nice to see you. Could be a lag in the internet. Oh, Charles, it is entirely possible that it's a lag in the internet. And I think it's also, who knows, we're having weird weather here. And so lots of high heat and heavy, it looks like the clouds look like Mother Nature is sulking. She's channeling her sulky inner child. Anyway, this thing about timing that has obsessed me and possessed me my whole life is how much time we have and how we use it and how we work it to our advantage. And this folder I have, which I just absolutely love. I don't want it to be too shiny, so I'm going to hold it in front so you can see. So at the bottom, it says, now what strategies? And this is the folder that I had printed when I first decided to get back get them giving their best game. And so this is, a typical folder. You put all your stuff inside and one. And then the back, I love the whole question mark thing. Anyway, I had met through this writer's agency that I worked for. I had met this extremely talented woman who did a lot of script consulting in Hollywood. And she's so clever and so quick. And we became really good friends beyond the job. And I told her that I wanted to start a consulting company, but I couldn't think of a name for it that was appropriate. And she gave me a lot of time to think about it, and then got fed up with all the time it was taking me. And she said, okay, here's the deal. We're just messaging each other. And she said, I'm going to call you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And you have to have the name of the company, or I'm going to start charging you for stalling. Fear. So I said, yes, ma'am, no problem. I'll find something. And I went to bed and didn't sleep well because my brain was looking everywhere for the name, knowing it had to be somewhere. Got up in the morning, stressed beyond all measure, had way too much coffee, jumped in the shower, and I'm standing there, and quite often, I don't know if this happens to you, but quite often when I'm in the shower and I have the hot water beating down on the top of my head, I get ideas that they just kind of blink, and I suddenly realize I've thought of something. The guy in the back has said, what about that? And it happens remarkably often. So I'm standing there with this hot water beating down, and I said to myself out loud in the shower, oh my God, she's never going to speak to me again, or it's going to cost me a fortune. What am I going to do? I can't think of it. Now what? Now what? What am I going to do? Now what? Now what? Now what? And then all of a sudden, the intelligent part of my brain said, now what? This is exactly what I fix. I fix the now what moments that leave people blindsided, gobsmacked, and flat-footed. And somebody once said, difference. Here it is. What now is what you say when the phone has rung 43 times while you're trying to complete a tricky job. And it requires your entire focus. The phone has kept ringing. And there's stupid things, dumb reasons people have phoned you. And you are reaching a higher and higher and higher level of just absolute frustration. And the phone rings the 50th time. And that's when you say, what now? Right? Okay. Now what is what you say when you've been waiting for a call? And it's the most important call of your life so far. And you have reached a place where you've said, well, maybe they were run over. Maybe they're dead. No, they couldn't be dead. I wouldn't be able to. basically you talk yourself into insanity, right? And you say, I'll just check. You know what? The phone could be broken. And you think, now what? Because you have no options. You have barely the mental capacity to ask that question. Now what? You have no idea. And I provided the now what strategies for people who had just run out of everything. And they had no idea what to do, where to go. Nothing. They got nothing. They're basically standing there with blank going on. And when she phoned, she said, well, and I said, now what? And she said, now you tell me the name of the company or I start charging you significantly more money. And I said, now what? And and I let it happen for 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden she realized what I was doing to her. It was like the who's on first joke, and she said, now what? And I said, now what strategies? And that's the most perfect name I have ever heard anybody come up with for anything. It is 1,000,000% perfect, and everyone will get it. Clever you. And I said, well, thank you. Should I go away and fluff my hair? And she said, no, now we have to do the hard work. Now we have to decide what that means. So we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And she said, what is it? What is a now what strategy? And I said, well, it's a GPS. It's a global positioning system to find out where you are in the global scheme of things, in your global village where you are. I'm next to the church. I'm beside the shopping mall. Your positioning system has had to be rebooted. And she said, the GPS for your success. And I said, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And and she said, do you like it? And I said, yes. So I still have the company, and I still use it from time to time. But what I love most was the craziness about finding this artist. I went back to the agency that I was working for, the writer's agency, and I looked up to see if they had any artists, and I found a guy with incredible ideas. And so we connected, and we were messaging back and forth. And I asked him where he was from, and he said, I'm in Serbia. Oh, and where are you? And I said, well, I'm in Canada. Oh, so this wonderful guy created what I think is the most a now what strategy, because it is a maze. And when people get their outcome, the one that they couldn't at gunpoint find for themselves, they are amazed. I love how quietly the now what strategies is down there. And as I said, I love this little question mark because it says everything. It's like the easy button. It's like the easy button campaign, right? Easy button. So the now what strategy for me always is when I have worked myself into an absolutely ridiculous frenzy for no good reason, because I have been caught up in wanting to get things to work sooner than they were ready to work. Because I think we all do it. I hope we all do it. I think we all get caught up in the momentum of the anxiety, of the excitement, of the anticipation. And, it's like when we're a little kid and somebody says there's going to be balloons. Okay, we want the party in 20 minutes. And it's not until next Thursday. And so then we just live every single moment between now and next Thursday, waiting for next Thursday. because there's nothing as important as what we have visualized in our minds, right? And so here's the thing. It happens in a positive way. It also happens in a negative way. And a lot of the things that I've been talking about in terms of how we're all feeling, this conversation yesterday with my friend Matt, and he said, it's like people are just filling it in. They're not showing up. They're not even investing an ounce of their natural solution modeling ability to come up with a viable solution. They're coasting. And I said to him, well, phoning it in is basically apathy. And apathy is on the downhill scale of fear. And he said, run that by me again. And I said, well, fear is more or less in the middle. And when it gets worse, fear is, of course, the cave brain saying, fear is good. Fear keeps you alert. So, okay, but we can't keep alert forever. We can't stand on one foot forever. We can't hold our breaths forever. And we can't feel uncertain forever. I was talking about the earthquakes. We are really unsettled. We are really unsettled by an earthquake because it doesn't just go grumble crash. It goes grumble crash, rumble, 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 rumble. And we don't know how many more rumbles there are. And COVID has been like that. A pandemic that has an incredible ripple effect that causes things to keep not working. It's the keep not working. Not working is something we get. We kick the car when it's not working. But when normal things aren't working, it starts to be scary. So fear is a constant as far as the cave brain is concerned. And then when we get worked up about it, we get anxious. And when we get more worked up about it, we get angry. And when we get more worked up about it, we hit rage. And when we go the other way from fear, we start losing our energy because we can't maintain fear. You can't maintain you can't maintain horror. You can't feel pain. Eventually the body, the brain numbs itself. So you go from fear to frustration. And you go down there from disappointment. And then you go to depression. And then you reach apathy. And that is basically all of the energy just gradually leaves you with nothing. And I said that I think a lot of people are somewhere down there. They're frustrated. When the fear kicks in, when the anger kicks in, and the rage kicks in, and they start yelling. You can't yell forever. You run out. You can't hold on to it. You gradually get to a point where you just got nothing. You got nothing. And so in talking about a now what strategy, timing is very important. Timing is, let's use a surfing metaphor. When you want to get into the wave is right before it breaks. No point in rushing behind it. Nothing's going to happen. You're always going to be chasing that wave. And if you're chasing it, you're doing it wrong. And seeing it build, seeing the momentum build, feeling the energy in the water building. And then you have to start, metaphorically, you have to start running. You have to start paddling. You're on your board. You have to start paddling to get your momentum in timing with the wave, so that when you're with it, and the water's carrying you up and up, with it, and the wave begins to crest, and you're right there, right on top of it, the wave carries you. The timing that you have in sync with the wave is what creates your outcome. When you're in sync with something that is building, and you climb in right there, you can exceed all reasonable expectations. It's proven. And it is a function of filling a vacuum. There is power in everything. There's power in a moving wave. There's power in a speeding train. If you can be in the right place at the right time, and you can latch onto that power, you are the only board at the front of the wave. You are the only person hanging on to the front of the train. You have filled the vacuum. No one can get in there ahead of you. You're the only one. And this is the secret to massive success with very little effort. It's all about timing. And I'm going to talk about that a lot in the Pivotry books. And when we have the instructions, the workbook manual, I'm going to show people how it's done, because it's frustrating to know you're missing something. Fear completely clouds our judgment. When I'm standing in that shower going, now what, now what, now what? Hear the idea. I could hear me saying it. Craziness. And why it matters to have somebody like that in your corner is not because they're level-headed and you're not. It's because your crisis, your crazy moment, isn't theirs. They can see more because they're those 5 steps back. They're not invested the way you are. So they can be much more logical. They can be much more excited by possibility than we can when we're in the middle of realizing that our pants are on fire. Crazy, right? So the story I want to tell you that is just bizarre, and it has to do with timing in a couple of ways, many definitions of timing. So a friend of mine, my car was in the shop, and a friend of mine said, "You can take my old Bimmer." And I said, "What?" Yeah. It's just been tuned up. It was this bright red, fire engine red. I never drive red cars because bright fire engine red soapbox. The old, the old BMWs that looked exactly like a bar of soap. Yeah, it was one of those. And so I had to go and meet some people for lunch, and it was about an hour away. I said, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, absolutely. You're a good driver. Go ahead." So I'm driving. It's wonderful. BMWs. Here's the thing about a BMW. It sounds like it means business. It's solid. It doesn't take any shit. It's got a great kind of feel to it. It's heavy. And by the way, it goes like stink. Like, it's fast and it's maneuverable. So it's all the joy of having a race car without any of the, the finickiness. And so, awesome car. And I was very excited by the opportunity to have it and drive it. So I'm driving this hour or so to get to the place, and I'm thinking about the meeting that I'm going to be having, because it's got to do with the job, and I'm excited about it. And it's a now what, right? And I'm about 50 feet. I've already started to get ready, 50 feet from the exit ramp off the highway. And so I've shifted down from everything, and because I've always driven a manual, so I use the gears to as a braking system on the car. So I'm shifting down, and I shifted from I don't know, third, I guess, down to second. And when it kicked in as you know cars do. They're louder in the lower gear when you've been going fast, and it was louder. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't louder. It was a B-52 bomber. It wasn't louder. It was. Oh my God! I couldn't hear myself think. If any voice in my head was saying now what, I couldn't hear it. And I thought, what the hell? I'm looking out to see if there actually is some kind of a strafing thing going on. No. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I don't know what this is, but I can tell you what it isn't. Here's what it isn't. It isn't good. Whatever this noise is, it's not good. So I started actively praying. You know the way you do when you're just hoping. Cat's hello, good morning, cat. So when you're desperately hoping that things are going to be okay, you start praying randomly to everything. Everything. Doesn't matter what you believe in everything in this moment. You're hedging all the bets. Please, 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 please. Hold my breath. No, I need to be conscious. And I'm shifting down, and it's getting louder and louder and louder and louder. It was awful. I mean, cars going by were drivers were looking at me, and it was about a 2 mile distance from the off ramp to the place I had to be. And I was very familiar with the area. So I knew that if I could just get to where I needed to be, A, I could get to the restaurant, and then B, I could also get help in case there was a real problem. So down and down, it's getting louder and louder and louder, and I'm coming closer, 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 and I'm terrified that something's going to explode. Everybody's like this, and it's noise. I'm sure that some saying, what the hell? Oh, it's Abby. Oh, well. We'll find out what that was. And then I pull up in front of the thing. I'm coming to the restaurant, and there's wall-to-wall cars, and I'm thinking, shit! And just as I was getting there, and I'm thinking, oh my God, a guy pulled out, and I thought, thank you, and I nosed in. This little small soap-sized car. I nosed in. And I cut the engine, and everybody was. I turned and looked at the restaurant. Everybody was looking out the window, and where I normally sit, the waitress is standing there like this, looking out the window. And I got out of the car, grabbed my stuff just in case it was going to explode, grabbed everything out, everything, and I walked in the restaurant. And the waitress said, "You need a drink," and I said, "I need a mechanic and a drink." And she said, "You know what? You're in luck." And I said, "I am? Is it good luck?" And she said, "Yes, because by the way," and she pointed to the table beside where I was going to sit. And it was the mechanic who owns the garage that's right around the corner from the restaurant. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for my next number. I will part the ocean. And I said, "John." And he said, "Okay, so that's your timing chain." I said, What is? He said, "That impression you were doing of World War II coming in." I said, "What do I do?" And he said, "Nothing. I'm going to get one of my guys to come and tow it with our truck." I said, "Well, don't you have to start it?" He said, No, we're not going to start it. No. And so he did that while we were having lunch. My person arrived, and we were talking, and it was supposed to be about their project, but at first it was about, what was going on with me. And then gradually throughout lunch, things just kind of happened. And the outcome was that, yes, what had happened was the car had started eating its own timing chain, and they looked at it, and there were all kinds of little tinsely bits in the oil. Which isn't a good thing. It means that the engine is not going to have a good time. So it's going to die. And so he said, I got a friend. with AAA, well, CAA in Canada, and we can just get you towed. Really? Yeah, sure, no problem. So all of that to say the all of that to say on a car is essential. It keeps everything going. If it's not there, the car isn't going. The car is a lawn ornament. The fact that it happened so close to my destination instead of in the passing lane on a freeway is a blessing. The fact that while I was panicking, I've been driving for a very long time. Not a lot of stuff scares me on the way, unless it's something coming out of the sky or a sudden noise like that. So I was able to drive it efficiently and get it to the place. The timing with a person leaving just as I got there, another blessing. Walking into this restaurant where I'm known, I have friends. It's an area that I am very fond of. It's like my second home. And to discover that mechanic right there, who is, by the way, not merely a mechanic, he's really good at his job. He has an intuitive sense for things, and he's been doing it a long time. The fact that his garage is right around the corner, the fact that his mechanic was available, the fact that the tow truck wasn't out on a call, the fact that he's close buddies with the towing company that would take the car home with me, that is an exercise in timing to the nth degree. And when we need timing working for us the most, we are often not ready or willing or able to sense the momentum of things that are happening. We're so distracted by something. We're distracted by fear or frustration or exhaustion or random, odd, disconnected things all seeming to come together all at once. And when we're not listening, when we're not paying attention to who we are in the moment, we can lose sight of things. We can't hear things, and we can't respond, and we miss our opportunity. You have to wait for them to come around again. And the combination of them coming around again in exactly the same formation a second time. Good. Let's go for that. Let's say, yes, that's going to happen. However, it's a challenge that happens. So in this time, when people are concerned, and their concern is ratcheting up, and we have too much free time on our hands, and we can't structure our thinking processes. We can't find a way to organize our thoughts and get that 5 steps back. It scares us because it feels like we're not in control of our own lives. And it frustrates us when we can't control the way other people behave toward us. It frustrates us when we can't seem to make things connect the way we used to. It's one thing that we can't control other people. It's one thing that we can't control situations and circumstances beyond us, beyond our reach. And a lot of us make a mistake thinking we can. If they would just listen to me, yes, well, they're not listening to you, and they don't have to listen to you, and we can't control what they do. Just because we have a great idea doesn't mean they will think it's a great idea, and it may not be a great idea for them. That happens all the time. That's not the kind of control I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fear and frustration that our own life, our own path, our own trajectory is out of our hands. And we don't know when we'll get it back. And if we normally see ourselves as strong, we see ourselves as good people, we see ourselves as dedicated, committed to doing a good job, ethical, caring, generous. And then something happens that's beyond our control. It can feel like we are not enough. We are not, no matter how good our great is, it's not enough, because if it were enough, we wouldn't be punished this way. Because when we lose sight of our control, it can feel like we're being punished. We're not. What's happening is another wave. It's an intersecting wave. We're trying to ride this one. We're focused on this one. We're watching over our shoulders for this one. There's a wave coming that way. We don't see it. It's not coming at us. It's just another wave. It's another ocean current. It's a ripple effect of something way out there that we can't see. And in moments like that, when we are blindsided, I say to people when I'm doing a now strategy, I want to take us away from the conversation for just a second. I'm not suggesting it's not important, and I'm not suggesting that this isn't 100% of the reason we're having this conversation. But I want to take us away for a second because I want to ask your opinion. And the person always says, well, I don't know if I'm going to be any good. I mean, I'm so overwhelmed with, I know. So I want you to take a breath so I can ask you this question, because I need your opinion. Person takes a breath. And by the way, it feels good even when you're exhausted and frustrated and confused. It feels good somewhere that somebody needs us for something. We tend to say, well, I don't know how much good I'm going to do, because we're overwhelmed. We don't mean to push away the person asking. It's just we don't want more put on our plate, because we already can't handle what is on the plate. And the question I ask is this. This sounds crazy. It sounds like it's side rear-facing mirrors on a car. Well, there's one beside the driver, so while you're driving, when you're getting ready to pass, you can check the mirror to see if there's anybody who's about to cause you the utmost damn astonishment. You can also, just to be sure, in case you have a blind spot, you can also look out the window before you do something to cause them the utmost damned astonishment. But there's another mirror over there. What's that for? Well, that's to see if there's anybody on the other side. Okay. Do you forget to look in that mirror? Yeah, sometimes. And when you do, and you say, whoa, yeah, okay. Those mirrors are there for they aren't sneaking up to attack you. They're on their way. They're on their destinations. They're experiencing their momentum to get where they want to go. You are one of their distractions. For the guy on that side, he's looking this way and finds you. For the guy on this side, he's checking this way and they find you. They're not closing in on you. They're closing in on their destination. And what that means is that we are all on a path to the place we want to go. Sometimes those paths converge. They don't necessarily cross, but they converge. It doesn't mean they're going to hit you. It means that as long as you're watching, you know where they are. As long as they're watching, they know where you are. And it eventually occurs to all of you that you're not alone. It occurs to all of you that we're all in this together. And sometimes when you look out your window, the person is driving the same model of car as you. That feeling gets even bigger. You find yourself, when they pass you, you find yourself giving them a thumbs up and they're giving you a thumbs up, because not only are we on a similar path, we chose the same way to get there. And there is a feeling of connection that you never expect when you are single-focused on your path, on your purpose, on your direction. You suddenly realize that this is big. It's happening to all of us. And you're right there. And you're right there. And you're part of it. And whenever I would do that with a client, what I was doing was I was shifting them from fear and anxiety to excitement. Because as soon as there is an issue, it means there is a solution. As soon as there is a wave, it means something's coming. It means something's happening. And that's exciting, as long as we are not in a fear place in our heads. The cave brain wants us afraid. The cave brain, this was also part of my conversation with Matt yesterday, comfort is addictive. Feeling safe makes us complacent after a while. Not right away, you know. When you reach the tree well before the bear, complacency is a while away. When you jump out of the way just before the train, complacency is not your first thought. As soon as you stop screaming and your heart stops pounding out of your chest, you're going to fist bump, but not yet. Comfort for too long. Comfort knowing every day is the same, every same, every same, every same. We become bored. We become complacent. We become lazy. We don't care. We phone it in. If we're phoning it in, and you're saying to yourself, but Abby said that's apathy. Well, sure it is. Sure it is. Because if you don't have to do anything to qualify, there's no challenge. There's no reason for you to get out of bed. If you've got a remote and you've got a 1,000,000-inch screen TV and you've got unlimited channels and you've got a fridge stocked with food and you're in your comfy pants and there's nowhere you need to be, we can't stand ourselves because there's no reason for us to even be. We are driven to discover, to thrive, to win. It's how we're wired. We're competitive. How the wiring has gone off, I think, started a while ago. And the timing makes sense, but it doesn't mean that it's good. When they invented television, television was the next phase after radio. When they invented radio, there was an opportunity for the family to gather and listen to entertainment in the home. It was another way of amusing ourselves. We could get all dressed and go out, and that was a really exciting outing. Or we could just gather as a family and watch at home or listen at home. All right, now that it's available, are we just going to listen for that 1 hour after supper? No, because it feels good. We're going to listen more. We're going to watch longer. We're going to tune in. We're going to binge watch. We're going to get a device we can watch miniature versions of it in our hand all the time without stopping. If we have this right here, we can even order food on it. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to get up off the couch. We have no reason to get excited about anything. So we start phoning it in. And we reach a place where we can barely stand to look at ourselves in the mirror because we are doing nothing that makes us feel great about ourselves. We have lost our sense of timing. We have lost our ability to delay gratification. We have lost our willingness to try. Why? We don't have to. And where that takes us is we have no value. If we are not needed, if our greatest effort is not required, if people say, just sit there, and they carry on, we have no purpose. We have no job. We have no role. We have no function. We're barely decorative. That's tragic. It is what we sometimes think we want. If I could just get some time where I could just lie face down on the floor, we say. Sure, but only a little time. Because we need to feel the excitement. We need to feel that there is possibility for us. So Charles was mentioning on Tuesday that they've cut back on his hours. And he's able to watch this morning because there was a cutback on his shift. That's depressing. That's upsetting. That's worrisome for somebody who is dedicated, kind, generous, a provider, a white knight. That's unsettling. What does that mean? Well, it means that the kinds of places where people chose to go with disposable money to play and have fun are not seeing as many people. Why not? Well, people aren't in the mood to have fun at the moment. They're either sitting on their couch or they're desperately looking for work. Do they have the energy to get up and get dressed and go out? Can they just feed that, Charles works at a casino, they can just feed that gambling thing online. They don't have to go. They don't have to bother. Is their life empty and hollow? Yes. What about the people who want to go to the casino as an outing? Oh, they're still going. The people with the disposable money are still going. There just aren't as many of them. And so the place says, well, we're going to have to cut back. So the thing I was talking about on Tuesday that is part of this timing conversation is, if I am good at these tasks, are they translatable? Are they transferable? Can I do this in a different way for different people to help them achieve their income in a way that keeps me active and involved and relevant and valued? And the answer is always yes. Always yes. The trick is having the time and the timing to see it as an opportunity to check both mirrors and say, okay, the road is turning, the road is going this way, the road has been going this way, the road is going this way. So people are shifting their priorities. That means I need to shift mine. I need to figure out what it is that I do brilliantly that I can do somewhere else, where they're going to need me, because people are already on the way there. They're going to need more people to serve all these new people heading in that new direction. That is called getting ahead of that wave, getting the momentum going, paddling fast enough so that when it breaks, there you are. There you are. And people say, oh my God, oh, thank you. What a blessing. We've been standing here saying, what on earth are we going to do? And here you are. It happens all the time. What we don't normally have time to do is step back those 5 steps and look at it. Use this front part of the brain to see the big picture. If we can use this part of the brain sees cause and effect. If everybody's going this way, the effect is going to be a traffic jam at the other end. Do we need the lights on a better cycle? Will I find parking? If everybody starts going this way, all those old problems are no longer problems for me. What's a problem for them now is nothing's happening. If we can give ourselves permission to breathe and say, there is a solution. I can't see it. Wrong way. Is it my fault? No. There's no shame, there's no blame, there's no guilt. There's no put down. Things shift. The wind changes direction. My father, the Viking who was good at every sport ever invented, would take me sailing. He wanted to teach me sailing because I'm good in the water. I float. I'm not afraid of the water. He wanted me to discover the joy of sailing. He took me out on a lake on a windy day. And I said, this is a lousy day. On the contrary, he said, this is the perfect day. His feeling was this. First, you get their attention. When you have their attention, you explain something. You don't start explaining until you have their attention. You need to do something that gets their attention. I'm out on a lake with my dad in a small 2-person boat, sailboat. The wind changed. I'm at the back. Duck. We're on a lake. I said, oh, where? And the boom, which is the piece of wood holding the bottom of the sail, clipped me neatly on the back of my head, right at the base, and lifted me out of the boat and dropped me unceremoniously into the water. Sploosh. I came up. Soaking wet hair, glasses, clothing, coughing. And I said, what happened? He said, I told you to duck. I said, I thought you were pointing out ducks. And he said, clearly not. He put his hand down. I put my hand up. Yoinks me into the boat. And he said, now that I have your attention, that is what happened when the wind shifts. And I said, okay, what do you mean? And he said, well, this is how it works. It's on a pivot, and the sail is held taut by ropes coming down from the mast, and then there's a piece of wood that holds it straight at the bottom, and the ropes are all attached. And when the wind shifts, the boat has to come around and stay into the wind. To do that, you want the sail to maneuver, because that will allow you to turn. I said, obviously. I got it. And he said, good. And then he wanted me to understand what goes wrong when it goes the other way, the way you don't want it to go. So when the sail turns the direction you want, it's called coming about. When it goes the other way, because you've lost control of it, it's called a jibe. And so he waited for it to happen again, and he allowed it to go the wrong way. I was looking the wrong way. Boof, out, splash. And I came up and I said, and what was that? And he said, that's what happens when it's wrong. Thank you. Hauls me back in the boat. He said, there is never anything the wind does that is wrong. The wind is the wind. The wind is not doing it to us. The wind is the wind. It is up to us to learn to anticipate the changes in the wind and be ready to respond. The wind is the wind. And by the way, the sun is the sun, the rain is the rain. None of it happens to us. It is up to us to figure out how to make it work for us. That is life. And a pretty smart dad. So, timing is how we figure it out. Timing is how we give ourselves permission to let go of this fixed idea of the way it has to be forever. Because nothing is fixed and nothing is forever. Everything is fluid. Life is fluid. Everything shifts slightly or largely. It is up to us to figure out where we position ourselves to ride the wave. And when we do it right, it's because we have understood that timing is everything. How do we get there? How, Abby? Don't just say do it. How? How we do it is by letting go of the thing we're fixated on. It'll be there. It'll be there waiting for us. Guaranteed. Let go of that. Take the steps back and look at our skill set. Look at who we are. Look at what we do. Look at why people like us. Why we get complimented for the things we do. What is it that people like about us? What are the skills that we have? We've either always had them, or we've practiced and polished them, so they've become our techniques. They've become our toolkit. What is it that we do, and how we do it? What is that? If we write down the things we do, they're small things. They're not, I can climb a mountain. They are, I can kind of sense when people are in trouble. Fabulous, that's brilliant. That means you're observant. It means you care, you have compassion. Those are incredibly important qualities. I'm pretty good with people. Fabulous. That's important. Why? Because people mostly are scared. People aren't doing this work that you and I are doing together. People aren't consciously pivoting to stay ahead of the wave. They're allowing themselves to be boofed out of the boat because they're not paying attention. Or they've hit a wall, they've reached apathy, and they've stopped trying. They can't remember what they were good at, and they've lost their confidence. all that we have to do is give ourselves permission to take that moment. Breathe. Because whatever this issue is, isn't the problem. This issue is like the symptom. Putting a Band-Aid on this is a temporary fix. For instance, let's take this, they're cutting back on hours. Okay, that's a symptom of something. What is it? People aren't going to do that thing the way they used to. Okay, so the first question is, what are they doing instead? Where are they going instead? And in those new places where they are doing these new things, is there a need for people like us? And the answer almost always is yes. When I decided to leave show business because I was fed up with the things that I had allowed to happen to me, because I had lost sight of the fact that you have to get ahead of the wave, and I was allowing myself to coast and flounder in the shallows, and I hadn't seen it until I just couldn't stand it anymore, and I said, that's it. I have to get back. I have to get away from it long enough to get my perspective and get my joy back. I have to do something else. And my very brilliant friend said, well, you can do anything. I know somebody who's hiring. So I got introduced to the person who was hiring. I'd been working in show business. Before that, I'd been in show business. Before that, show business. But along the way, I had been in hospitality and tourism and retail. So all of those things all had one thing in common. You had to step quite a few steps back to see it. But what they all had in common was an audience that wanted to feel special. You buy a ticket to be entertained. You go to a store to reward yourself, to buy something that makes you feel special. You order something on a menu that makes you feel special because it's your favorite. People want to feel special, and they will pay for the privilege. We all do it. The person she introduced me to owned a hot tub and swimming pool company. I'm sorry, water? It's my natural element. The owner of the company said to me, do you know how to make a friend? And I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And he said, I'll give you a chance. And I said, thank you. And within 3 months, I was his top salesperson. Did I know anything about hot tubs? Yes. Yes, a hot tub is a box full of water. A swimming pool is another container full of water. People go in that water. Why? To feel special. Ta-da! All of us have this ability. We are born with it. We are naturally wired, not just to survive. We are naturally wired to thrive. We are naturally wired to be excited about what we do. We are built that way. And when we forget, and we slip and slide, we're not happy. Our comfort becomes our discomfort, eventually, hopefully. And that's a good thing, because when we are discomforted, we want something else. And when we want something else, a little curiosity button in the back of our head says, I wonder what's over there. And we're back in the game. So I wanted to talk about this entire conversation about owning and understanding that we all hit this moment we all find ourselves confused. We all find ourselves panicking. And it's terrifying when we feel that way. The thing is this, and it's so important to give yourself permission to hear what I'm going to say. The panic is good. The buildup of adrenaline is essential. Not to drive us crazy, but to give us the momentum. The way my dad always used to say on the tennis court, you always have to be on the balls of your feet. You always have to be up and ready and leaning in and watching. Why? Because if you're sitting back, apathetic, on the heels of your feet, the time delay it takes to get from apathy to anticipation is exactly the amount of time it takes for the opportunity to pass you by. Why would you risk losing that opportunity? Get up on the balls of your feet. Go, go. Be ready. Don't be scared. Be excited, because your opportunity is coming. So when the fear subsides, as Charles was saying the other day, they're cutting back, it's scary. Yeah, it is. It's scary because the normal that you knew is changing. The fact is, the normal that we know is always changing. Change is life. Change is the driver of everything. Since it is the driver of everything, and logically you know it, emotionally you know it, strategically you know it, there's no purpose in not getting ready. Not getting ready to lean in, not getting ready to check the mirrors. Okay, go. There's no purpose in resisting that opportunity. Because whatever this was, whatever this is, whatever the past was, the future is going to be amazing. You know how I know? It always is. No matter how incredible the good old days were, you know what was going on in the good old days? Not this moment. This moment was waiting in the future for us to arrive. So those good old days, okay, absolutely. But this day, this moment, this timing is incredible. And if this is incredible, imagine the next one. Imagine it. You can't imagine it while you're scrolling your phone. I'll tell you that. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you. We are getting closer and closer to the completion of the first book in Pivotry. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show it to you. It's just, I'm so excited. And as I'm doing the interviews, something will pop up and I realize I have to talk to this person or that person. Every single interview is giving me the opportunity to go back and reread the first drafts of all my other interviews and giving me more notes to write for my follow-up call with everybody. It was really funny yesterday when I was talking and I said, okay, so here's how it works. I'll put this together and then I'll get back in touch with you. And he said, wait, this was the interview? I said, I know. I snuck up on you. Who knew I could do that? He said, how did, I was waiting for it to start. I said, oh well. I'll warn you sooner next time. He said, well, that's incredible. That was great. I was really nervous I wasn't going to do a good job. And I said, that's those other people's kinds of interviews. Those things are annoying. Mine are easy. So it is coming along. And for those of you who are wondering, when is she going to be? When is it? How long is this going to take? Don't worry. Be happy. It takes the time it takes. Timing is everything. So we have a weekend coming. And we have some weird weather. And this is the thing. I know you've already thought about it. I know you're all talking about it. Here's the thing. The weather will come and the weather will go. It always does. When it's hot, there's no point in stressing. There's nothing you can do. Find things to keep cool. And don't frantically find things to keep cool. Just slow everything down a little bit. Look forward to when it is cooler. We could all become nocturnal creatures for a short duration. Be good to you. Cut yourself some slack. When it's not going well, that's an indication that it's about to go brilliantly. And when you have time to think about it, you know I'm right. It's always like that. What is that phrase? Darkest before the dawn? In this case, it's not dark. In this case, it's uncertain. So when it's feeling uncertain, find one of the certainties in your life and think about it. Focus on it. Appreciate it. Okay? All right. Thank you. Tell your friends. Tell your friends about the YouTube channel. Tell your friends that this is just a step along a path to something amazing that is for all of us. Tell them that if they watch at least one of the videos, they'll get a sense of what is coming. Pick your favorite and tell them to watch that one. Maybe this is your favorite. Who knows? In the meantime, be safe this weekend. Don't go out in the heat, in the rain, and try and be hero. Be careful. Be careful. The wind has its own agenda. The rain, the sun, they all have their own agenda. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hug your loved ones. I'll see you next week.